had never seen anyone like her before. She sat on the cold metal bench at Gate 9 of the space station, alone as always. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the pale lights, and her eyes reflected something deep and calm like the still surface of an alien lake. Most people passed by without noticing her. Some whispered. A few stared. But she didn't react. She seemed to belong to another world far beyond the station's noisy corridors. First saw her on his first day. He had just finished checking the docking schedules and was walking toward the cafeteria when his eyes landed on her. She was small, her frame delicate, but she carried a quiet strength in the way she sat, her back straight, her gaze fixed on nothing in particular. Everyone else on the station seemed busy, laughing, arguing, rushing to their ships, but she was still, calm, silent, alone. Curiosity stirred inside him. There was something about the way she looked, like she was carrying a secret too heavy for anyone else to touch. He had heard rumors, stories whispered by crew members about aliens living secretly on the station after the war. Most people avoided them. Fear was still alive in everyone's hearts, but didn't feel fear. He felt a strange pull toward her, something he couldn't explain. The next day he tried again. This time he brought 2 cups of coffee, one for himself, one for her. He approached slowly, feeling every step in his chest like a drumbeat. "Hi," he said softly. I thought you might like this." She looked up sharply. Her eyes widened and for a moment thought she might vanish into thin air. Then she shook her head. "Don't come near me," she said quietly but firmly. Her voice was smooth, musical, but it carried a warning. "Humans don't stay near my kind." Froze, unsure whether to retreat or to stay. Then something in him moved forward, stronger than fear. I'm not most humans," he said. "I just wanted to sit with you." For a long moment she stared at him. He could see the hesitation in her eyes, the flicker of something like hope, but also a shadow of doubt. Finally she spoke. "I am Lyra," she said, "and I am not human." The words didn't scare him. Somehow they felt right, truthful, something that belonged. He replied, "and I don't care what you are." She looked away toward the observation window. Beyond the glass, stars moved slowly, silent and endless. Her voice softened almost to herself. "You shouldn't care. You'll regret it." Shook his head. "No, I won't." Day after day, he returned to Gate 9. Sometimes he brought coffee, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes they didn't speak. Sometimes they talked for hours about small, ordinary things, music, dreams, favorite planets, the quiet beauty of space. Every conversation felt like discovering a secret treasure hidden in the vast emptiness. But with every day, Lyra also pulled away a little. She tried to maintain distance, warned him against becoming attached, reminded him that humans and her kind were never meant to trust each other. The weight of centuries of fear, war, and loss rested on her shoulders, and she feared letting him in. Still noticed small cracks in her walls, a smile when she thought he wasn't looking, a soft laugh when he told a clumsy joke, a lingering glance when she thought no one was paying attention. Each of these moments was a spark, and every spark pulled him closer. One evening, as the station lights dimmed and the artificial sun set over the docking bay, asked her a question that made his stomach twist with nervous hope. "Why do you sit here alone every day?" Lyra's eyes glimmered like liquid silver. She didn't answer immediately. She looked past him toward the distant stars. "Because no one else can understand," she finally whispered, "and because maybe I am too afraid to try." Took a deep breath. His heart felt heavy with something he could not name. "I want to try," he said softly, "if you let me." Lyra turned to him, eyes wide and uncertain. Her silver skin reflected the dim light like a fragile armor. For the first time, thought he saw fear, but also something else, something like hope. For that moment, the space station felt smaller. The endless corridors, the flashing lights, the hum of engines, they all disappeared. There was only her, and there was him, and something unspoken growing between them, something that neither time nor distance could deny. She tried to push him away, but didn't move. His heart had already chosen. And that was just the beginning. After that first evening, something changed between and Lyra. Not in grand gestures, not in bold declarations, but in small moments that carried more weight than words could ever hold. He noticed her watching him sometimes, just for a second before quickly looking away. And she laughed softly at his jokes, Not the nervous, forced laugh she had first offered, but a quiet, genuine one that seemed to warm the air around her. Yet even as these small bridges appeared, walls remained. Lyra's eyes would darken when anyone else approached. Her posture stiffened if station security walked by. She moved with careful calculation, every step measured to avoid drawing attention. Could see it, the weight she carried, the weight of fear, history, and distrust, but he never judged her. He simply stayed. He waited. One evening found her sitting alone again at Gate 9, staring at the stars. He brought 2 cups of tea this time. The liquid steamed in the cold air of the docking bay. "You always look at the stars like you're trying to find something," said softly as he set down the cup. Lyra's silver eyes flicked toward him. "I am," she whispered. "I'm trying to find a place where I can exist without fear." Nodded. "I don't think anyone should live in fear forever. Not you, not me, not anyone." She looked away, her eyes glimmering. Humans never truly forgive. Even if the war is over, the hatred remains. My people, my family, we were considered enemies, and even now they would see me as a threat. Reached out, gently placing a hand near hers, not touching, just close enough that she could feel his presence. "I don't see you as a threat," he said. "I see a person, someone brave enough to keep going even when the world says she shouldn't." Lyra shook her head. "You don't understand. If anyone knew I was here, if anyone found out you were talking to me, it could ruin you. You could lose everything." "I've already lost nothing," replied. "Not if it means being here with you." For a long time, she said nothing. The hum of the station surrounded them, a soft, constant reminder of how fragile life could be. Finally, Lyra spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been alone for so long," she admitted. "Everywhere I've gone, people have looked at me with suspicion, with fear. Even the ones who smiled at me, they never stayed, they never tried. And now you're here, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't care." Smiled softly. "I do care, and I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to face anything alone, not while I'm here." Her lips curved in a faint smile, fleeting and delicate. It was the kind of smile that felt like the first sunlight after years of storm. Days turned into weeks, and Lyra spent long hours together, sometimes talking, sometimes silent, but always near each other. He discovered the small things that made her human in ways no one else saw. The way her fingers traced patterns in the metal floor. The way she hummed quietly when she thought no one was listening. The way her eyes sparkled when she saw a particularly bright star. But even as closeness grew, tension remained. Lyra would sometimes step back abruptly, reminding him of the invisible barriers she carried. "I can't let anyone get too close," she said one night, voice trembling. "Not even you." "Why?" asked, his heart aching. "Why push me away when I want to be here for you?" "Because," she said, her voice breaking slightly, "I am not human. You deserve someone who is someone normal, someone who doesn't carry the past like I do. I am dangerous, and I don't want to hurt you." Reached for her hand, finally daring to bridge the gap she kept. "Lyra, you don't get to decide that for me. My heart has already chosen, and it chose you. Not your skin, not your past, not your species, you." Her eyes widened, a mixture of fear and disbelief. You would risk everything for me." Nodded. "I already have, and I would do it 1,000 times more if it meant you wouldn't have to be alone." For the first time, Lyra didn't look away. She let him see the vulnerability she had hidden for so long. The fear, the doubt, the loneliness, all of it was there, but so was something else. Hope. A fragile, glowing hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could care for her despite everything. And in that moment, in the quiet hum of the space station, something unspoken passed between them. A promise, a bond, a choice. She had tried to push him away, but's heart had chosen her anyway. And the real journey was only beginning. Thought things would get easier after their quiet moments together, but he was wrong. Lyra began to pull away again, more carefully this time. It wasn't sudden or loud, it was in the small things. She started arriving later at Gate 9. She stopped sharing what she was thinking. Her smiles became rarer, fleeting, almost ghost-like. Noticed it immediately. Every day he watched the space in front of the bench, hopping to see her silver glow, hopping to see her eyes meet his. But more often than not, she wasn't there. He felt the growing distance in his chest, heavy and sharp, like gravity pulling him downward. He didn't know why she was doing this. He only knew that it hurt more than anything he had ever felt. One night, he finally asked her, as the hum of the station's engines echoed through the empty corridors. "Lyra, why are you avoiding me?" She didn't answer right away. She stared at the stars beyond the observation window, letting the silence stretch between them. Finally, her voice came, quiet and trembling. Because I can't risk it. You don't understand. The moment you get too close, someone notices, someone judges, and I can't let that happen to you." His brow furrowed. "I don't care what anyone else thinks. I only care about you. Why do you keep telling me I can't be here when I want to be?" Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "Because I'm not human. Humans are taught to fear my kind. They see what happened in the war and think it could happen again. And if they see you with me, you could lose everything. Your job, your friends, maybe even your life." His chest tightened. He understood her fear, the history, the danger, but he also understood something else. He understood that she was pushing him away because she cared. She wanted to protect him, even at the cost of her own loneliness. "Lyra," he said softly, stepping closer, "I don't want anything else but to be here with you. You don't get to decide that for me. You don't get to choose who I care about." She turned her eyes toward him, her silver skin reflecting the dim light like glass catching fire. Her voice was almost a whisper, breaking with emotion. "I've lived my whole life alone. I've tried to stay hidden to avoid this connection because it's dangerous. I've lost too much already. I don't want to lose you too." Reached out, gently brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "You won't. I promise. We face everything together. I don't care who you are or where you come from. I only care about you." For a long moment, she said nothing. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, as if she were fighting some invisible battle inside. Then, almost imperceptibly, she leaned toward him, letting her hand hover near his, not touching, just close enough to feel the warmth of his presence. I don't know if I can," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I'm scared that one day you'll see who I really am and leave, scared that one day I'll make a mistake and you'll pay for it." Shook his head. "Lyra, love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing someone even when it's hard, even when it's scary. I choose you. Every day I would choose you." Her silver eyes filled with tears, but this time they were not just tears of fear. They were tears of something more fragile, something she had buried deep inside. Hope. "I've never had anyone stay," she whispered. "Not like this, not someone who doesn't turn away because of who I am." "And I never will," said firmly. "I'm not leaving. You're not alone anymore, not while I'm here." For the first time in weeks, Lyra allowed herself to relax just a little. She let the warmth of his words sink in. The weight of centuries of fear and distrust began to lift, if only slightly. But even as she leaned toward him, her silver eyes glimmered with caution. She knew the danger that still surrounded them. She knew that not everyone would accept them. That the station, the humans, the world, they might never fully forgive her kind. And yet, she could feel something growing inside her that she had thought impossible, a feeling of trust, a feeling of belonging. Didn't see it as weakness. He saw it as strength, the strength it took for her to keep trying, to keep opening her heart despite everything. And that night, as the station lights dimmed and the stars shone cold and distant, something shifted between them. A fragile, unspoken promise that no matter the fear, no matter the walls she built, he would be there. Always. She tried to keep him at a distance, but's heart had already chosen her. And that choice would change everything. Had hoped things would stay quiet, that their fragile connection would grow safely in the shadows of the station. But the universe had other plans. It started with rumors, whispers in the corridors. A crew member spotted Lyra near the restricted docks and told someone else. Someone else told someone higher up. By the end of the day, the entire station seemed tense, as if everyone were waiting for a storm to arrive. Then came the alarms. Red lights flashed, echoing through every hallway. The metal floor vibrated under the boots of security officers rushing to every gate. Station-wide speakers blared. "All personnel report to security. Suspicious alien activity detected." His heart pounded. He knew immediately where she would be. Gate 9. He ran, weaving through the crowds, calling her name. Lyra was already there, surrounded by armed guards. Her silver glow seemed brighter in the red lights, but it did nothing to protect her from fear. She was kneeling on the cold metal floor, her hands raised slightly, trembling. Lyra shouted, pushing past the nearest officer, "Step away from them." She looked up at him, eyes wide, and for a moment he thought she might vanish from the world, like a fragile star breaking apart. "I tried to protect you," she whispered. "Why did you follow me?" "They're going to arrest you," yelled his voice cracking. "I won't let them." The guards raised their rifles. "Step back," one shouted. "She is a threat to the station." "She is not," shouted, stepping between Lyra and the weapons. "She has done nothing wrong. She is protecting this station from a real threat." The station went silent for a moment, only the low hum of engines filling the space. Lyra shook her head, panic filling her eyes. "Leave, I am the danger. I tried to keep you safe." "I'm not leaving," he said firmly. "I will not let anyone hurt you." The officers hesitated. The commander approached, frowning. "This human is putting herself at risk," one of the guards said. "You can't allow her to interfere with security protocols." His jaw tightened. "She is not a threat. She is the only reason this station is still safe. She has been tracking a real spy, a human smuggler trying to sell alien tech. She did what no one else could do, and now you are punishing her for it." The commander's eyes narrowed. "A human smuggler, evidence." Pointed to the observation screens. "Logs, security footage, check it. She is not the enemy, she never was." Lyra collapsed to her knees, shaking with relief and fear at the same time. I tried to stay invisible to keep him safe." Knelt beside her, holding her hands. "You've been protecting everyone, Lyra. You've been brave, and I will make sure no one forgets that." Her silver eyes glistened with tears. I thought I would be alone forever. I thought no one could ever stay with me, that you would leave like everyone else." "I'm not leaving," said his voice steady. "I don't care about fear, I don't care about danger. I only care about you, always you." The commander studied them both, frowning. The guards lowered their weapons slowly, their suspicion giving way to confusion. The logs confirmed his words. The real threat was a human smuggler, not Lyra. The station had almost made a terrible mistake. Lyra buried her face in his shoulder, trembling. "I wanted to push you away. I didn't want anyone to get hurt because of me. I thought being alone was safer for you." Stroked her silver hair gently. "You don't have to be alone anymore. You don't have to hide. I'm here. I will face it all with you." And in that moment, the station seemed to grow quiet, not because the alarms had stopped, but because something had shifted. The fear, the suspicion, the whispers, they all faded in the face of something stronger. Courage, loyalty, humanity. Lyra looked up at him, tears streaking her glowing cheeks. You would choose me, even with everything I am." Smiled softly. "I already did. My heart chose you before I even knew it." The red lights dimmed. The hum of the station became softer, and for the first time in a long time, Lyra felt safe. Not because the station had accepted her, but because one human had refused to turn away. One human had chosen her, even when everything else tried to push her into the shadows. And that choice would change both their lives forever. The station was quiet now, but the tension lingered like smoke in the air. Lyra sat beside in a small, dimly lit observation room. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant. Inside, the silence was heavy, filled with unspoken fears and fragile hope. She looked down at her hands, trembling slightly. "I shouldn't have let you follow me," she whispered. "I brought danger into your life. "Stop," said softly, taking her hands in his. "Lyra, look at me. I'm not going anywhere. Nothing you do or are will change that. I chose you. My heart chose you, and I will face anything with you." Her silver eyes filled with tears, glimmering like molten metal in the low light. "I tried to push you away because I thought it was safer for you. I didn't want you to get hurt." Shook his head gently. "You're brave because you cared for everyone else first. That's why I admire you. That's why I chose you." The sound of alarms interrupted their quiet moment. A warning flashed on the observation monitors. Security had detected a disturbance near the docking bay. Lyra stiffened, and his grip tightened on her hands. "They're going to come for you again," she said. Her voice quivered. "I can't let this happen. You should leave, take yourself to safety." "No," said firmly. "I'm not leaving you, not now, not ever." Her lips trembled. Then take me instead," she whispered, her voice breaking. "If anyone is punished, it should be me. I brought the risk. I am not human. I am dangerous. I don't deserve you." His chest ached. He looked into her glowing silver eyes and saw everything, the fear, the doubt, the years of loneliness, but also a fragile courage she didn't know she possessed. "Lyra," he said gently, "love isn't about who deserves what. It's about choosing someone even when it's hard, even when the world says it's impossible. And I choose you, always you." She shook her head, tears streaming freely now. You would risk everything for me, for someone like me." Nodded, his voice steady despite the rising tension outside. "I already have. I would risk everything 1,000 times over. You are worth it. You are worth everything." For a long moment, Lyra just stared at him, silent. The hum of the station, the flashing lights, the distant stars, all of it faded into the background. There was only the promise in his eyes, only the unwavering courage that refused to leave her side. Then she leaned into him, finally letting her walls crumble. Her hands clutched his tightly, as if afraid he might disappear. I never thought anyone would stay," she admitted, her voice trembling with raw emotion. I've always been alone, always." "You're not alone anymore," whispered, brushing a strand of silver hair from her glowing face. "Not while I'm here, not while I breathe." Her body shook with a mixture of relief and fear. "I don't know if I'm ready," she confessed. I've never had someone care like this. I've never had someone stay." "You are ready," said softly. "You just didn't believe it, but I do, and I'm not leaving, not ever." The alarms grew louder, the red lights reflecting off the walls. Danger was still out there, waiting. But in that small room, in that fragile, fleeting moment, Lyra felt something she had never felt before: safety. Not from the world, not from the station, but from a human who had chosen her when everyone else would have run. And she made her choice too, not because it was safe, not because it was easy, but because her heart finally listened. She wrapped her arms around him, pressing her silver head to his chest. Then I choose you too," she whispered. Held her close, feeling the warmth of her trembling body. "Always," he said, "always you." Outside, the station may have been filled with fear and suspicion. Inside, in that quiet room, the walls of doubt and loneliness shattered. They had chosen each other. And that choice, that simple human choice, was stronger than any rule, any law, any fear. For the first time, Lyra believed that being herself, alien, different, feared, did not mean being alone. She had someone who stayed, someone who refused to turn away. And realized something too. Courage was not always about fighting with weapons. Sometimes it was about standing beside someone, even when the universe demanded you walk away. They faced the coming storm together, hearts intertwined, fear replaced by a bond stronger than steel. And in that moment they both knew love had chosen them, but humanity had given them courage to keep it. The station remained tense for hours after the alarms. Security teams scanned every corridor, every docking bay, every cargo hold. But Lyra stayed together, hidden in a small observation room, hearts racing, hands clasped tightly. They didn't speak much. Words felt unnecessary. Their silence was a shared understanding. Danger was near, but they had each other. Finally, the station's central AI completed its investigation. Security logs, camera footage, and communications were analyzed. The results were clear, undeniable. The real threat had never been Lyra. It was a human smuggler attempting to sell alien technology to the highest bidder. Lyra had been tracking him the whole time, ensuring the station's safety without exposing herself. The news spread quickly through the corridors. Officers who had raised weapons now lowered them, shame and relief washing over their faces. The commander's stern expression softened, his eyes meeting, and then Lyra. "It seems we were mistaken," he said carefully. "The records confirm that she was protecting this station all along." Lyra's knees buckled and she sank to the floor, trembling, caught her immediately, holding her close. Her silver hair shimmered under the dim lights, wet with tears she could no longer hold back. I thought I was alone forever," she whispered, her voice breaking. I thought no one would ever stay, not after everything I've done, not after everything I've been. Stroked her hair gently. You were never alone, Lyra, not while I was here, not while I am here, and I will stay, always. She buried her face in his chest, trembling with relief, fear, and an emotion she couldn't name, something fragile yet powerful. I tried to push you away because I thought it was safer. I didn't want anyone to be hurt because of me, she admitted. You're not a danger, said softly. You've saved this station. You've risked everything for others. And I choose you not because of what you are, but because of who you are. Lyra lifted her head slightly, silver eyes glimmering with tears. You really mean that? Every word, said firmly. My heart chose you before anything else, and it will choose you again every day. Slowly, the crew around them began to understand. Murmurs of respect replaced whispers of fear. Officers who had once doubted her looked at Lyra differently now. She wasn't the enemy. They finally saw the courage she had carried in silence, the sacrifices she had made for the safety of all. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt something she had never allowed herself, belonging, not just with, but with the world around her. She realized that fear had shaped her entire life, but courage and love could reshape it too. Held her close, whispering softly in her ear. You are brave, you are strong, and you are not alone anymore. I will never leave you. Not for the station, not for anyone, not for anything. Tears rolled down her cheeks, mingling with the soft glow of her skin. I thought I didn't deserve anyone like you. I thought humans would always fear me. But you stayed. I always will, said his voice steady, unshakable. Because bravery is not just fighting wars. Bravery is staying when it's hard, staying when the world tells you to run, staying when fear screams at you to give up. And that's what I did for you. Lyra's lips curved into a small, genuine smile, the kind that reached her eyes and made them shine brighter than the stars outside. Then, maybe I can be brave too, she whispered. Maybe I can face the world with you by my side. Kissed the top of her head gently. You won't have to face it alone, not ever. We face it together. And in that quiet observation room, amidst the hum of engines and distant stars, the walls of doubt, fear, and loneliness crumbled completely. Lyra no longer felt the weight of centuries of mistrust. She felt free, safe, loved. Because someone human had refused to turn away. Someone human had chosen her heart, her courage, her very being. And in choosing her, he had shown the true strength of humanity, not through weapons, laws, or power, but through love, loyalty, and the courage to stand beside another, even when the universe demanded fear. Lyra pressed her silver face to his chest, breathing in the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. I believe it now, she whispered. I believe I belong not just to this station, but to you. Smiled, holding her tightly. And I chose you, and I always will. And in that moment, they both understood. The heart that chooses courage and love can overcome any fear.